This is Rummy's Corner. Oleksandr the Great. Oleksandr Usyk is on one hell of a run. This past weekend, Usyk dominated his former victim Daniel Dubois, and he made it look easy, even easier than last time. Usyk thoroughly outclassed Dubois from start to finish, and this time there was no low blow controversy, even if Dubois did land a shot that was eerily reminiscent of the low blow from their first fight. In round 5, Dubois got aggressive and went on the attack, and in the midst of a heated exchange, Usyk nailed him with a sharp right and Dubois went down. Dubois beat the count but looked badly hurt, and cool as an assassin, Usyk went in for the finish and put Dubois down again with a bludgeoning left that sent Dubois' mouthpiece flying out. This time Dubois would not be beating the count. The fight was over. Business as usual for Oleksandr the Great. Usyk is carving out quite a legacy for himself despite only having 24 professional fights. 13 of those fights, more than half, were championship bouts, which is astounding. And even if we ignore everything he accomplished at cruiserweight, where he became just the second undisputed world cruiserweight champion in history, the first in the modern four-belt era, even if we ignore that, at heavyweight alone he is building quite an impressive legacy, despite having only 8 fights there since making the jump up. That is a point that Usyk's detractors jump on, that he's only had 8 fights against 5 different opponents. But the fact remains, if he retired today, what he's accomplished at heavyweight is already mighty impressive and historically significant. He has already beaten Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury twice each, and they were widely viewed as the 2 top heavyweights for the better part of the last 10 years until Usyk arrived on the scene and crashed the party. He became undisputed world heavyweight champion in just his 6th fight after moving up, marking him as the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis, and the first undisputed heavyweight champion in the modern 4-belt era. He has already made 5 consecutive title defenses, and while that number is a far cry from the mind-boggling record of 25 consecutive title defenses by the great Joe Louis, and a far cry from the Eastern assassin and Vladimir Klitschko, it's still impressive in its own right, especially considering that Usyk was already 34 when he first won belts at heavyweight. 5 consecutive title defenses puts him ahead of highly regarded greats like Sonny Liston and Riddick Bowe. It puts him on equal footing with Jack Dempsey. And now he's just 1 defense shy of equaling the tally set by a towering legend like Rocky Marciano. Based on pure achievement, consistently facing and beating the best from your era, Usyk has done that, and he has emerged triumphant with flying colors. There haven't been any real soft touches on his ledger, except maybe Dubois from the first time around, and that was a mandatory. But Dubois was certainly a worthy challenger the second time around. AJ was a top challenger in their immediate rematch, and aside from Usyk himself, Fury was the best out there, and Usyk beat him twice as well. If Usyk hasn't already solidified himself as a bona fide top 10 heavyweight of all time, he is certainly in the discussion based on terms of achievement. All 6 of his heavyweight title fights coming against the same 3 opponents does inherently result in a lack of depth. But what Usyk lacks in depth, and what he lacks in sheer quantity, he makes up for with quality. Usyk has cleaned up the division in short order, and there aren't many other names out there that are perceived as dangerous threats. There are no heavyweight boogeyman out there who he is perceived to be avoiding. Nothing of the sort. Right now, I undoubtedly believe that Joseph Parker is the most deserving challenger for Usyk. I likewise believe that Agit Kabayel is a worthy challenger. And him being a bit of a wild card, I actually think he potentially makes the most interesting and perhaps even most dangerous opponent out there for Usyk right now. But it is extremely difficult to imagine either guy actually beating him, although in the event Usyk faced and defeated both, it would certainly help him add both depth and quality to his heavyweight legacy. Much more so, I think, than a potential third bout against Fury or AJ. After all, he already beat them both. Twice! In a head-to-head sense, if you look back at all of the great heavyweight champions from the past, I believe Usyk is a nightmare matchup for any of them. An absolute nightmare. For any of them. I'm not saying I believe Usyk beats every heavyweight great from the past because I don't think he would. But a slick southpaw with a genius ring IQ, incredible stamina, and a masterful understanding of range, where he is both slick and elusive, he's a very tough stylistic matchup for anyone who ever laced him up during the long rich history of professional boxing. But the thing to me that's most impressive about Usyk is the fact that he is looking this damn great at 38 years old, where historically, that's an age where heavyweight greats have often suffered a steep decline. Of course, there were exceptions. Vitaly Klitschko was still lumbering around and winning impressively in his early 40s. And then Big George, of course, became the oldest boxer to ever win the World Heavyweight Championship when he was nearly 46. But Usyk's style is one that relies on quickness, reflexes, stamina, footwork, and movement. He should be showing more signs of decline in his late 30s. The fact that he looked so sharp and spectacular across the board in his rematch against Dubois, a 27-year-old right in the midst of his physical prime, Usyk's performance was simply extraordinary. How long can he go on at this level? I have no idea how much longer Usyk will be around, but my advice is to simply enjoy watching him box for as long as his career lasts. He is truly a special talent, one-of-a-kind talent, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, and one of the greatest heavyweights I've ever had the privilege to watch in my lifetime. Oleksandr the Great indeed. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful night. This is Rummy's Corner.